Today's censorship of nude art is worse than it was centuries ago. Modigliani, Peter Paul Rubens, Egon Schiele, Koloman Moser, Betty Tompkins, Nobuyoshi Araki, and countless others have been banned from being seen on Instagram, Facebook, and sometimes YouTube. It's a problem denounced by countless museums and galleries. Even the Venus of Willendorf was censored off Facebook in 2017. The problem has gotten better since. For example, I have 2 nude paintings by Freud on my Instagram account that haven't been censored, but on YouTube, I had to censor thumbnails such as Modigliani, Sarah Goodridge, this portrait of Gabriel Destré, and Courbet got me a community guideline strike. But Anne Herrero, Freud, Titian, Sylvia Slay, and Egon Schiele are fine. Well, their thumbnails are fine, but Herrero, Slay, and Schiele are all age-restricted videos, which basically means that these videos are shadow banned and can only be accessible through the channel's page. They sadly won't be recommended, which is sad because they're pretty good videos. In this video, I want to briefly look at how art has been censored online and compare it to how it has been censored in the past through Michelangelo's The Last Judgment. By the way, I'm making this video because last week's video was taken down by YouTube. It was a video on Hokusai, the man who made the Great Wave, but more specifically on his pornographic drawings. I was fascinated and really wanted to share some 19th century Japanese prints that are rarely seen or shared. Sadly, it can't be done on YouTube. But it's up on my Patreon if you're ever interested in learning about it. For $1 or more per month, you can become a patron, support the channel, and appear in the credits at the end of each video. And now I guess there's a Patreon exclusive video. I didn't want to do that, but I don't have a choice. And since I'm already plugging my Patreon, I think I can plug my Letterboxd. I'm still trying to be the most subscribed or followed person on Letterboxd, most Letterboxd famous video essayist. Trying to catch up to Thomas Light. You can follow my Instagram, both my personal Instagram and my professional Instagram. My Instagram where for the YouTube video. Look, I can show you what I post on my personal Instagram. I make artworks. I don't know if you can see. It's probably going to be really on the edge of the video. I decided to make an Axe. My deodorant is an anarchist deodorant, and I wanted to make a portrait of my anarchist deodorant. So that's what it is. Here, I can show you. Hopefully the focus works. Oh wait, it's not gonna, it was upside down. There you go. So if you're interested in that kind of work, very, very high quality, high effort artworks, you can check out my Instagram. All right, let's go back to more serious topics. Censorship. The issue of censorship online isn't only applicable to old, dead artists. Betty Tompkins, who's still alive, had her Instagram account banned after posting Fuck Painting No. 1, made in 1969, which is exhibited at the Centre Pompidou in Paris. The artist Kit King, who's from Montreal, who has close to 300,000 followers on Instagram and who relies on social media for her work, detailed in an article written by Hannah Tiger for the Center of Art Law how damaging such censorship can be for an artist's career. Frustrated and powerless in the face of these huge institutions censoring art, some attempts at denouncing the situation have been made. For example, Spencer Tunick, along with the National Coalition Against Censorship, organized #WeTheNipple in June 2019, where about 125 demonstrators protested naked, holding images of nipples. The same National Coalition Against Censorship created the Don't Delete Art Gallery, which features art that has been censored on social media. Vienna's tourism board, frustrated to not be able to promote their museums and artworks without fearing to get banned off social media, decided to create an OnlyFans account to give themselves the freedom to show their art. They also had censored posters with the slogan, "Sorry, 100 years old, but still too daring today." But there's a difference between the censorship of the past and the one of today. So let's take a look at The Last Judgment by Michelangelo, made between 1536 and 1541 in the Sistine Chapel. It depicts the second coming of Christ, showing the saved and the damned. Christ is positioned at the center of the artwork, surrounded by angels and saints. One of these saints is Saint Bartholomew, who is seen holding both a knife and his own flayed skin. This is how he was executed, how he was martyred, which is why he's depicted this way. St. Bartholomew's face, the one of his skin, is a self-portrait of Michelangelo. This painting was very controversial when it first came out, and one of the reasons why it was so was because pretty much every male and angels in it were nude. Vasari quotes the Pope's master of ceremonies, Biagio da Cesena. It was most disgraceful that, in so sacred a place, there should have been depicted all those nude figures, exposing themselves so shamefully, and that it was no work for a papal chapel, but rather for the public baths and taverns. Papal chapel? Papal chapel. No, papal chapel. That makes more sense. Michelangelo didn't like that comment, so he painted a portrait of Cesena in hell as Minos, who's the judge of the underworld in Greek mythology, and he painted him with donkey ears to symbolize his stupidity, as well as hid his nudity with a snake. A rumor says that when Cesena complained to the Pope made a joke that hell was out of his jurisdiction. The Last Judgment was also criticized for being too inspired by classical art, as Jesus doesn't look like the Jesus we're used to. There were also criticisms about Michelangelo taking too much artistic liberty when interpreting the Bible, but it was really nudity that had to be fixed, which is puzzling because this had to be covered, but a man holding his own flayed skin was completely fine. After Michelangelo died in 1564, Daniele da Volterra, who history will remember as Il Braghettone, or the breeches maker, covered the figures. During the restoration of the 80s and 90s, some of these breeches were removed, but many of them remain as a result of religious prudishness. 16th century censorship was a result of prudishness and religious morality enforced by a religious authority. But can we say the same for today? When Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube censor artworks containing nudity, are they doing it for moral reasons as religious authorities did in the past? Of course not. When social media platforms censor artworks, it's often because their algorithms designed to censor pornography are too sensitive, or because they're scared that an artwork would be considered pornography, as I believe they did with my video. And the reason why they're being hypervigilant about potential pornography being published on their platform isn't because they care about the morality of their platforms. Anti-trans memes and other types of content have not only been tolerated, but boosted by Meta's algorithms. The reason why Meta and other social media platforms hate nude artworks is because they're not profitable, and the risks of keeping them on the platform are not worth the risks of scandals, loss of advertisers, and loss of the public's and shareholders' confidence. The engagement that trans hate gets is worth it. It gets engagement, clicks, comments, shares, but nude art isn't worth the risk. So to say that prudishness is the reason why nude art is being censored online is, to me, extremely reductive. It was the case centuries ago, but today, what is censoring your art online is the profit motive. It's capitalism. And framing it this way goes against the narrative that capitalism equals freedom. And because of that, some of you may say that nobody's stopping you from painting a nude. You still have the freedom to paint nudes. If Kit King wants to continue making her incredible photorealistic nudes, she can. She just can't post them on Instagram. But the effects this can have on artists are easily identifiable and very concerning. When social media decides what is and what isn't considered appropriate, artists need to go through the most effective form of censorship there is: self-censorship. Artists will stop painting nude artworks, and YouTube video essayists, that's me, will stop making videos on nude art if doing so risks losing revenue or even their platform. And all of this is done not because we believe it's wrong, but because it might upset shareholders. Today's censorship is worse than the one practiced centuries ago, not in its application, obviously, but in its motivation. We're not even censoring to make the world a better place, as the church believed they were doing. We're censoring to protect business interests. We're censoring for profit. We're censoring for greed. If you're interested in learning more, or if you are yourself an artist who is looking for resources about censorship online, check out National Coalition Against Censorship. They have a website. They have a lot of resources. I skimmed through it. It looked really interesting. I recommend it from what I saw. Let me know in the comments what you think. Obviously, I read all of them. By the way, this is a t-shirt from my favorite artist, and they were also censored on Facebook, from what I saw. I don't know if they've been censored before or like in other places, but I know they put a drawing online for sale, and it got pulled off because it was too violent. Maybe this is too violent. Who knows? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you for checking out Patreon. I want to thank already all my patrons, all the new patrons who decided to support after the last video got taken down, either because they liked the channel or because they wanted to see what what the video was about for it to be taken down by YouTube. So welcome aboard, all the new patrons, and thank you so much for supporting. And I want to thank all the patrons, of course, but there's also Roman Brandel, X-Towns, and Bone Meal for being on board and supporting me and the things that I do. Very, 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 very appreciated. I guess I'll give you a little update for those who stay so long after the end of the video. It's been my second week now in Montreal, and I went to go see an amazing exhibition by Kent Monkman, which I cannot recommend enough. Amazing exhibition. Kent Monkman is already an artist I adore. I already made a video like in 2020. Like that's a very long time ago. And I made that video, it was on Kent Monkman and the RCMP. I recommend it. I still think it's one of my best videos, even though it was made 5 years ago. So yeah, go watch that if you haven't already. There were so many of the paintings that are featured in this video that were in the exhibition, so I was really excited to see them in person. They're huge paintings. And they were about art history, about colonialism, about reclaiming certain narratives that have been hegemonic for a very long time, still are. So it was really, really fascinating. If you're in the Montreal area, go check it out. And if you're not, maybe move to Montreal like I did, or come visit. Anyway, thank you so much for watching once again, and I'll see you in the next next video next week. I have a really interesting video planned for next week with an artist that I'm going to be interviewing. So that's gonna be fun. I rarely do these interviews and like videos including interviews, so it's gonna be fun. All right. Goodbye. See you next week. See ya.